Am I the a-hole for telling my ex his own son doesn't want him to be his father? I'm 35 female in a co-parenting situation with my son's father, 37 male. We had our son very young during our relationship, but it ended because my ex and I would argue so much. I know that environment isn't good for a child, which is why I made the decision to break up with him. Things got worse after that. This was the start of my ex's problems. If I needed him to do something for our son, he wouldn't, just to spite me. He didn't want to give me child support because he didn't want me buying things with it. He couldn't handle that I was over him. We share 50-50 custody, but I'm considering going for full custody because he doesn't fulfill his role as a father. My son is older now, and for most of his life, his father would leave and come back. After ex's father died, he turned to drugs, choosing to get high rather than being a good father, even when he wasn't using. He went to rehab and tried to be a father but failed again. He just doesn't care. Since he's had more kids with his girlfriend, 22 female, he has no time for our son. As a mother, it's heartbreaking to see. When my son was 7, I started dating the man who is now my husband. He's been patient with my son and ready to help him. Ironically, my husband has been to more of my son's recitals and games than his biological dad. My son, 14, used to beg for his dad's attention, but now he doesn't care. He recently told me he doesn't want his dad to be his dad because he is not enough. I'm so grateful my son has an actual father figure in his life. He now calls my husband dad. When my ex found out I was dating someone, he acted like he cared about his son. He would question why another man was around his child and say he wasn't allowing it. It was a mess because my ex wanted me to be miserable over him, but I wasn't. He even tried to fight my husband, which didn't go well. One day, it was supposed to be my ex's turn to have our son, but he had long since stopped picking him up on his days. That day, my son and my husband were at the grocery store, and I was home with the baby. My ex showed up unannounced at my house to see if my son was home. He should have notified me through the app we use, but he didn't. I told him my son wasn't here and asked him to leave. He tried to argue, saying that he's the boy's father and has the right to talk to him. He was becoming agitated, and I was about to call my husband or the cops. I wanted him gone, so I told him, "Your own son doesn't want you to be his father." Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Lawyer up and request a new custody hearing. Document everything. You didn't say how old your child is, but I think you can have input too. Don't put your child through this. He's 14. He is old enough to make his own choices. Go back to court and go for full custody. The court will lean towards what the child wants. My son wanted to change his last name during high school to my husband's last name. We didn't, but I really wish we had. At any rate, my son saw a letter from my ex saying that if I waived child support, he'd waive parental rights. I find that so incredibly sad. My son is now almost 30 with 3 kids and 1 on the way. I'm incredibly proud of him as a father and husband. Call the cops anyway and file a report. Write down all the missed visits, include a statement from your son, and petition the courts for custody. Add all the times your son was left alone or witnessed his dad under the influence. Not the a-hole. Oh, thank you. I definitely will. And just to clarify, my son has never seen his father with drugs because I don't play that. Next story. Am I the a-hole for reminding my stepsister that she is not my father's daughter? I am a 28-year-old woman who left my parents' house a long time ago. I have my own house, a job, and a fiancé to whom I officially got engaged 3 months ago. My parents divorced when I was 16, but they have maintained civil contact, and I have good relationships with both of them. My father has been with a woman for 5 years who already had a daughter, now 22. My mother has been with a man for 7 years, and he has 2 sons, 16 and 19 now. I get along well with my stepbrothers, and I've always tried to involve them in activities with me, shopping, playing video or board games, or even going out for a meal. They're good kids, and I enjoy their company, so bonding with them has been natural and rewarding. I tried to do the same with my stepsister, but things never went well. From what I know, she has had several issues since her father abandoned her, and she still goes to therapy for it, so she is not the friendliest person. I tried for a while to understand her and build at least a civil relationship, but it didn't work. So I give up after the first year. Her mother is a good person who has apologized several times for her daughter's behavior, begging me to not hold a grudge. I've tried to do that despite everything. To give you some context, my stepsister has abandonment syndrome, diagnosed by her therapist, and is very clingy with her mother, my father, and her boyfriend. My father believes her hostility towards me stems from seeing me as an obstacle to his attention. He has tried to mediate, talk to her, and even consult her therapist. We've made some progress. She's no longer openly hostile, and we can have casual conversations without her being aggressive. However, she still acts spiteful in subtle ways to keep my father's focus on her. I have a busy job, so I can't spend much time with my dad. We mostly communicate via calls and texts. Apparently, she once had a meltdown because he replied to one of my texts while with her. It bothers me, but my dad manages the situation by giving her reassurance without reducing his time for me. The problem arose recently when my fiancé and I set our wedding date for the end of May. We told our close relatives 2 weeks ago and are preparing to send out official invitations. 2 days ago, while at my dad's house discussing plans to go wedding dress shopping, my stepsister interrupted, telling my dad she was planning a family trip with him and her mom. My dad, a little taken aback, said they could organize it later. She then said she had already planned it for the end of May, the very week of my wedding. I got annoyed but stayed quiet as my father told her she needed to pick another date because he had to attend my wedding. She had an emotional breakdown, accusing him of playing favorites, not loving her, and leaving her behind. She then lashed out at me, yelling, "Why does he always have to choose you?" That's when I lost my temper and replied, "Of course he chooses me. I'm his daughter. Who the heck are you?" She froze, shocked, and ran to her room crying. I felt bad immediately because I know what her issues, but her behavior had pushed me too far. Did she really expect my dad to skip his daughter's wedding for a vacation she planned intentionally for that week? My father seemed upset by my words. I apologized to him, explaining that I felt sorry for her, but had tolerated her behavior for so long that I reached my limit. He said he understood, but was clearly hurt. I admit I was harsh, but I don't feel guilty for saying the truth. Should I have been more considerate and let my dad handle it? Seeing the pain in his eyes makes me feel like a jerk. Not the a-hole. One question though, why are you and your father okay with her hurting you? I think what you said was you letting out your pain after years of hurt by her, and frankly, maybe even hurt by your father's attitude a bit. From my perspective, I think your father and her mother are babying and favoring her and allowing this behavior to continue. If my stepkids treated my own kids this way, I don't know what I would do since I have no kids, but certainly more than what your father is doing for you. I wouldn't be enabling her for sure. She's not a child anymore. She's an adult. She needs to work on her issues and not take it out on people around her or be a burden to everyone who loves her. If I'm being completely honest, her mental condition has always been a sore point. I would get angry and resentful when she would get between me and my father, but I didn't say anything because I would have felt bad attacking her on her behavior given her condition, and I've always tried to be understanding. And I think it's a sore point for my father too. It's not easy because it always seems like you are the bad villain who takes it out on the person who already has problems to deal with. This girl didn't even become part of your dad's life until she was 17. It's insane that she's this possessive of him and would try to stop him from attending your wedding. She's now an adult, and regardless of her abandonment issues, she deserved that reality check. You've been more patient than anyone could reasonably expect. I'd apologize again to your dad for your reaction, but make it clear that appeasing her at your expense would damage your relationship with him beyond repair. Also, let your dad and his wife know that any drama from her at your wedding will result in her being asked to leave. After this behavior, I would uninvite her from the wedding. Stepsister will only cause drama that day out of spite. OP is not the a-hole. Agree. Imagine the tantrum she would get over a father-daughter dance. Next story. Am I wrong for dumping my boyfriend and exposing him to his baby mama? I dated Mark for over a year, and I truly believed we had something special. We talked about moving in together, made long-term plans, and he always seemed so invested in us. But everything came crashing down one evening when I stumbled upon a social media post that changed everything. It was a picture of Mark at a party I hadn't heard about, his arm around a woman named Lisa. Feeling uneasy, I checked her profile. That's when I saw her recent post announcing her pregnancy. Her caption read, "Can't wait to meet our little one in a few months. #blessed." My heart sank as I realized the timeline deadline. Mark had been cheating on me and now he was about to be a father. The next day, I confronted him. He didn't even try to deny it, saying he didn't know how to tell me and that it just happened. I was furious and heartbroken. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about the lies and betrayal. So I ended things with him immediately. But I didn't stop there. I felt Lisa had a right to know the full truth about who he was dealing with. I messaged her, shared screenshots of Mark's recent text to me where he said he loved me and couldn't wait for our future together, and included photos of us from just weeks before. Lisa responded with shock and gratitude, telling me she had no idea he was in a relationship. She kicked him out and made it clear their interactions would only involve co-parenting from now on. Now, Mark is scrambling to figure out how to handle his situation with Lisa while I've cut him off completely. Part of me feels like I did the right thing by exposing him, but another part wonders if I went too far. Should I have just left quietly and let Lisa figure it out on her own? Or was I justified in ensuring she knew the truth? So Reddit, am I wrong for not only dumping Mark but also revealing his lies to Lisa? Now for the comments. Lisa had a right to know. If he's sleeping around, he's putting her health and their baby at risk. You're not wrong. Yeah, I was wondering if it was the right thing for her to know. Thank you for clearing that out. You're not wrong. He was cheating on you, and he was also lying to Lisa. She had a right to know the truth. You did the right thing by exposing him. It's not your responsibility to protect him from the consequences of his actions. You're not the a-hole for standing up for yourself and for Lisa. You're doing the right thing by moving on and cutting him off completely. You deserve better than that. Not wrong. Actions have consequences, as he just found out. It's a good lesson for him on how not to be a total scumbag moving forward. Yeah, that will teach him not to cheat anyone again. If she's posting about her pregnancy, it hadn't just happened. It happened months ago. If he has his arm around this woman in a more recent social media post, he has continued a relationship with her. He didn't just sleep with her, he formed a relationship outside of the relationship he shared with you with another woman, who he then got pregnant and he still didn't come clean. Yeah, anything this guy has come to him is a consequence of his own actions. You didn't lie or look to sabotage him. You just exposed the truth to the other adult in a relationship with him so she could make an informed decision regarding her future and that of her child. Not a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for making my cousin's pregnant girlfriend sleep on a couch over Thanksgiving? My 38 female and 60-ish female hosted Thanksgiving this year at her fairly large house. She was really eager to have my mother's family join this year, including me, my sister, my husband, and her kids, because we hadn't seen each other in a while. She was insistent that we all stay at her house so we could spend more time together. Before I agreed to go, I confirmed with her that I would be able to sleep in a bed, in a room with a door that closes. I'm okay with sharing a bed or a room, but I need an actual bed in a room. I'm the only one of my siblings or cousins who is single or childless/child-free. Historically, I've always been relegated to the living room couch or floor during holidays. It has always sucked. I'm overweight, so I wake up with back pain. I've had air mattresses deflate on me overnight due to a hole. I can't fall asleep until the younger adult family members finish hanging out at 1 a.m. And then I get woken up at 6 a.m. by someone making coffee. People keep moving my luggage. I end up with only a couple of hours of bad sleep and wake up in pain. I pledged to myself that if I wasn't able to get a real bed in a room, I would get a hotel room. Thanksgiving week arrived, and I was pleasantly surprised to be assigned a room with a queen bed to myself. All the adults had beds they shared with their significant others. It was great for the first night. But the day before Thanksgiving, my cousin 35 male arrived with his girlfriend 28 female, who is 6 months pregnant, as a surprise. He had originally told my aunt he wouldn't be able to make it because of work, but wanted to surprise her. However, there weren't enough beds for everyone now. My mother said I could give up my bed to the couple and sleep on the air mattress in the den, but my aunt insisted I stay in my room. My cousin ended up on the couch and his girlfriend slept on the air mattress. Now my mother is lecturing me about being a bad guest. She thinks I should have insisted that my cousin and his girlfriend take the bed, especially because she is pregnant. Am I the a-hole? Edit. To answer the question of why my mother couldn't give up her bed and sleep on the couch, she was sharing her bed with my father and they are both in their late 60s. Not the a-hole. You weren't a bad guest. You've been given the short stick many times and had needs you helpfully communicated in advance. You couldn't have anticipated additional guests. The only possible a-holes here are your cousin and his pregnant girlfriend. It's a nice gesture to surprise your aunt, but if he wasn't sure there would be a room for them to stay, it was inconsiderate not to make hotel reservations nearby and graciously decline any offers for your aunt to make room for the unexpected additions. I originally thought there were no a-holes, but your mom volunteering her space and then giving you a hard time is a-hole-ish. Secondly, to surprise guests expecting accommodation without arranging it in advance are also at fault. Mom's the a-hole for trying to give away someone else's bed instead of offering her own. Makes sense for her, considering the expectations though. OP has always been the one to bite the bullet for everyone else's comfort, so of course she should have to do the same now. This is, of course, crappy and unfair to OP. Not the a-hole, but you might have a mom problem. Why is she volunteering you? Your aunt is a good host who understood your specific needs and made sure you were accommodated. Your mom, on the other hand, is being a bad guest by trying to pressure you to give up your space, which could make the host look bad. Honestly, I don't know why the kids weren't the ones sleeping on a couch or air mattress. Regardless, your cousin should have made arrangements to ensure his pregnant girlfriend didn't end up on an air mattress, like booking a hotel room. My mother voluntells me a lot. She still thinks I'm a jobless 21-year-old. I try to set boundaries, but she just leaps over them because she thinks she knows what's best. I've accepted that she won't acknowledge boundaries, so I have to hold firm when she ignores them. It's something I've been working on with my therapist for a long time. My mother is the exact same, weirdly comforting reading this post and hearing that your aunt stuck up for you in addition to you holding your boundaries.